welcome back to my channel. So for today's video guys, I'm going to give you an update in regard to the outbound non-essential travel for us Filipinos. Okay? Now, the Interagency Task Force on Emerging Infectious Disease or IATF already lifted the ban for outbound non-essential travel in the Philippines. Okay, so this was effective last Wednesday, October 21st. Okay, so this means that we will be allowed to leave the country for tourism purposes, provided that we are going to follow the guidelines set by IATF. So, of course, there are requirements. So, what are those? Number one is we have to have the confirmed round-trip ticket. So, I'm not gonna go further with this one because this is very basic. And we all know, we already have this round-trip ticket every time we leave the country. Okay? So, the next requirement is an adequate travel and health insurance that covers travel disruptions and hospitalization in case of COVID-19 infection during our stay abroad. So, you may go ahead and try to research online some travel insurance that has this coverage, or for you to be able to make sure 100% that this travel insurance covers COVID-19 infection, then you might want to call them directly, send them an email or chat with them to make sure, because you don't want to buy their insurance package, but then once you present it to the Bureau of Immigration and they found out that this travel insurance doesn't cover COVID-19, then that will be a problem for you. This will cause a delay for your trip. Okay, so just make sure that you check 100% with the insurance company. And then next is the signed Bureau of Immigration declaration that you acknowledge the risk involved in your trip. Let's say there is a delay in your trip, that you acknowledge that, and this form will be given to you either by the airline or once you fall in line to the Bureau of Immigration. Okay, so you just need to sign that form. Previously, they also require a pre-boarding test requirement, which is the antigen test, but just yesterday, Friday, they already lifted that pre-boarding test requirement. So that means that all Filipino travelers outbound doesn't need to undergo this test. However, Bureau of Immigration still reminds us that we have to thoroughly check the requirements of our destination country, because some of the countries requires all the inbound travelers to their country to present a negative result of COVID-19 test. So if your country of destination requires that, then you still have to undergo, let's say, the RT-PCR, PRC test or antigen test. Okay, so never miss to check the requirements of your destination country, so you will prevent any unnecessary delay on your trip. Okay, so that's it. That antigen test, guys, I tried to check online how much it costs, and it's 6,000 pesos. That's from a wellness center from Makati. So I'm not sure with the other wellness center or hospitals how much does it cost. If you know, guys, leave your comment below and let us know. Okay? So now that you already have completed all those requirements, please be reminded that since we are going out of the country for tourism purposes, of course, we are still subject to the regular immigration assessment. Okay, so this assessment, of course, the normal, like if the immigration officer would like to know more about your trip, then you have to answer them confidently. Okay, so just prepare yourself. I was just thinking, guys, that maybe this question might pop up from the immigration officer, like it's like, okay, so you have decided to leave the country even though it's still not yet 100% safe to travel. So what made you decide? So that question might pop up. So just make sure to try to be creative with your answers and answer them with honesty. Okay? So that's it. So now, on my own perspective, guys, or my own observation, is it really worth it to leave the country right now? Well, for me, guys, I don't think it is. And I think it is still very risky because knowing the fact that there's no cure yet for COVID-19, then it is not impossible for us to contract this once we are in a different country. So better be safe than sorry, right? And also, this kind of trip will be very, very expensive. Why? It is because most of the countries right now who accept travelers from other country, they are requiring the travelers to go on a 14 days quarantine at their own expense. So imagine the money that you have to spend for that 14 days quarantine. And also the fact that you'll be staying there, let's say for 5 days for your tour, then you have to book for that accommodation. And then you will have to have, of course, money for your food and your transportation or payment for your tour while in the destination country. So that's going to be a lot of money that you will need, right? And of course, once you return here in the Philippines, you will have to follow the Overseas Filipino Workers Guidelines, which is you have to undergo swab testing and a 14-day quarantine. So you will not be able to go home directly once you return or once you arrive here. Imagine that 14 days quarantine when you return, and then when you leave or once you arrive your destination country, another 14 days quarantine. So that's total of 28 days. Plus, let's say you want to stay there for 5 days for you to tour around, then how much or how many days would that be? That's over a month already. And would you think that the company you are working for will allow or will approve your leave of absence for more than a month? I don't think so, but maybe if they have, maybe that will be your last day of your work and you don't have any job to return to, right? I don't really think that this is really worth it, right? And last but not the least is, if you're really very itchy to leave your home and you wanted to go to a place that you can relax and get away from a hustle and bustle of the city, then why not try to find other places here in your beloved Philippines? Most of the tourist spots here, they even allow now the staycation. Why not do those things here in the country instead of going out of the country for now, right? And risking yourselves in contracting COVID-19. So I know that it is also not impossible to contract COVID-19 here in our country. At least you are in your country. You are not in a foreign country, right? Because hospitalization would be very, very expensive there, right? And if you are going to think of it, if going to the places here in our beloved Philippines, you will also be helping out our tourism to get back on track, because we all know that tourism was hit big time by this pandemic. And I know that there are a lot of promising places here in our country that we should be going to first before we explore the places of other countries. So try to show your patriotism and show some love to your beloved Philippines, right? So that's all for now, guys. Hope that I educate you in regard to the new advisory for outbound non-essential travel for Filipinos. And if you have other questions that you think I'm not able to tackle on this video, please leave your comment below and I'm going to answer you. And if you're new watching to my channel, please consider subscribing for more videos. And thanks a lot for watching. See you again next time. Bye!
What a wonderful